Welcome to the LA Business Podcast, a forum for business owners and senior executives to share the experiences about the elements that drive their success. Your host is Robert Brill, CEO of BrillMedia.co.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the LA Business Podcast. Today our guest is Kathy Van Benthusyen, co-creator of Before Giving, Before Getting. Did I get it?
Yes.
Okay, cool, thanks. We connected through John Schwind. John Schwind is your co-creator of this business. Tell us a little bit about Before Giving, Before Getting, and you generally just call it Before Giving. Mm-hmm. So tell us about what it is, what it's for, and has a special. It's relevant right now with the stuff going on in the news about Facebook and social media addiction and content creation and what people are doing on their social media. Tell us a little bit about Before Giving.
So we've been at work with Before Giving for more than 2.5 years. And originally when we started developing the content, we thought we would kind of focus on teens. And then when we put it out to a focus group, we found out that it was almost a little too late because the teens were already immersed in technology. So we kind of went back to the drawing board and we revamped it to really gear it towards ages like a 4th grade through an 8th grade. So ages like 9, 10 through 14. And when we put it to focus groups, they were all like, yes, this is excellent. We wanted to be able to get them before they got addicted to technology.
So Kathy, the core idea here is help parents and children understand what they're getting into when they start becoming addicted or to social media. They can't put the phones down. You hear a ding, you feel compelled to pick up your phone. Is that the core idea of this project?
Yes, to help parents and children to see the impact that technology has on their lives. That's the core of it. And then give them the tools with which to use technology as a tool and not merely entertainment. And that's what we developed the workshop activity guide, and the workshops were from that idea to give parents, because there's, I watch things on, social media that says, oh, well, these are the problems, but they don't give a solution. And we're giving the solution to this problem.
So one of the core ideas, right, is that social media and digital media consumption and content creation are all tools. They're tools for businesses. There's tools for individuals to get knowledge. You have some of the world's knowledge at your fingertips. There's a Netflix documentary. I think it's called Social Addiction or Social Dilemma. So I watched most of it. Very interesting. One of the key parts I found interesting about that documentary is that, you had people on the documentary basically saying, they are tracking, social media companies and web companies are tracking every action you take on their site and on their app, including what you scroll on, what you stop on, how long you stop, what you like, comment, and share on. And what's interesting to me as a business owner selling and providing marketing services to drive leads and sales for clients, that's exactly the value that we bring. We help companies harness that data, that algorithm, for the purpose of driving leads and sales. I think what you're saying, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, and my interpretation of it is that there is a much darker side to how people consume media and what it does to the brain and the compulsive nature of that. And this is Before Giving as a way to at least illuminate what's happening to individuals in families. Yes?
Yes. Because when we use it, people say to me when I talk about what we developed, and they'll say, oh, are you against technology? No, I'm not against technology at all. I think there's amazing things. I mean, think about during this whole pandemic, and I'm a teacher, and I've had to use Zoom and Google Meets in order to be able to meet with my class because I couldn't meet in school. There's, how you can go see a doctor right now, but you can see them via Zoom. You don't even have to go into the office. So there are things that I think that technology are great for, but it's when we use it just as entertainment that becomes a problem, because you become addicted and then you're just scrolling through you come up, you watch a video, and then the next video automatically comes up. There was this was really interesting. There was a 60-minute special probably about 2 years ago, and they said that our technology is designed to addict us, that it's a race to the bottom of the brainstem to addict us. Yes, there are good things to it, but there are designers behind it purposely trying to addict us to it. And that's where our concern is that, and people don't realize it. They're like, oh, well, it's not a big deal. They're just, I was making dinner. I let them go on for 15 minutes. Yeah, but when you tried to get them off, did they have a meltdown? Because, your kids, oh, no, I want more time on it. And it's that obsession that we're trying to illuminate, so that we want to create an educate people, because you don't know what you don't know. And so
Right.
if parents aren't aware that these apps and social media is designed to addict you, then how would they even know how to stop it?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think people, the more we talk about this, I think people are going to start to recognize, wow, I do feel anxious when I don't have my phone.
Mm-hmm.
And we got my my father-in-law gave us his really decked out ping pong table that he's had and hasn't used. So we have like the best ping pong. It's a little we have the best ping pong table now in our side yard. It's a little old, but it's fantastic, right? And I'm like, oh, I have to put down my phone. Like I didn't even want it in my pocket. And I felt myself glancing over like every few minutes, like, okay, am I missing a call? Am I missing a notification? I think the more people talk about it, I'm a firm believer that language has a big part in how we experience life, and simply putting words to identify experiences that we all collectively feel will help people fundamentally understand what's actually happening. Because I guarantee most people who hear what you have to say will say, oh yeah, I have been experiencing these types of events and actions and anxiety around my phone. I just didn't know what it was. I didn't realize it was a thing. So how do you go to market? How do people find you? What are the services that Before Giving, like what's the framework for this?
So we are, the website should be done and be developed in the next couple of weeks. It's www.beforegiving.com. And the way that we've set this up is you get it's a series of self-guided workshops, and there's a workshop activity guide that you get when you purchase the overall workshop program. And along with that, you get 3 months, you subscribe for 3 months, and that's all part of the initial buy. And in that 3 months, you would get additional content that we would email out to you. It could be another video, it could be some sort of an article, some sort of content that relates to the struggle that people have with technology. And I'm also going to be doing a monthly Zoom. And one of the reasons why at first I was like, oh, I don't know if we should be doing that, or is it going to become overwhelming? And I thought, well, how cool is it to give parents a space to come on with other people who are like-minded and be able to talk together? And I can pick a topic. I could, get feedback from people when they go onto the website and say what their concerns are. And then I can, pick a topic from that, but people can get on and say, oh, good. There's other people that feel just like I do. Because I feel that that's one of the biggest things, is the pressure that parents feel that, well, if I don't get my child a cell phone, or if I don't get my child some sort of device, they're going to be left out, left behind. And it's not the case, but parents really do feel that pressure. I mean, I know when I do conferences with parents and they'll sit across from me and say, so should I get my child a cell phone? I'm like, they're 9, they're 10. Oh, well, what if they're not with me? But in reality, when is your 9 and 10-year-old, even your 11-year-old, when are they not with an adult? I mean, if they're in school, they're with adults. So when are they not with someone? So why do we all need to succumb to that pressure of, oh, well, everybody else has it? And I know for my, we have 2 kids, and our age is 14. because we had seen that the big tech giants don't even allow technology with their kids till they're 14. I was like, oh, I'm going to go with what they say. So my husband and I said for both our kids that you have to be 14 before you're allowed to have a phone of your own.
I fear we've already unlocked the beast in our household. We have a 21-month-old.
Oh.
He's barely talking, uttering a few words. We expect him in the next 6 months to start talking more actively.
Mm-hmm.
Based on what his friends are doing. Like, it's just an explosion of words all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
But like he 100%, I hate to say this, he 100% has his own cell phone. Now, granted, he's not using the cell phone. He doesn't know what to do with it. He just likes mimicking we're on the phone,
Mm-hmm.
and playing around with it. But I think it's going to be very difficult for us to put that genie back in the bottle when he gets to be 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have a good solution for that. And I 100% see the challenges, but when a child is crying and throwing a tantrum and it crushes his whole world that he doesn't have a cell phone, it's tough. And I think education is so important. Like, so I suspect, you're going to get okay, there's so many places to go because this is an education system.
Mm-hmm.
This is life skills.
Mm-hmm.
We all had life skills in elementary and middle school. All the things you need to know. I need to know how to sew, which I made a sack once when I was in 7th grade, which I didn't need to do again ever in my life, because why would I? Like, I cooked a lemon cake at one point in my life, which again, not very helpful, but like, I'm alive. I know how to eat food. But like, I feel like this is a life skill type of learning that people need to know how media can be manipulated to change the nature of conversation. We're seeing that with Russia and politics.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing that with our elections. We're seeing that with the divisiveness in our country. We're seeing that with the anxiousness that people are feeling about all sorts of topics, and how the echo chamber gets amplified. Like, this should be something that children are being taught from an early age. Like, it's good to know about the Civil War. It's good to know about all kinds of other things that happened hundreds of years ago, but actually much more urgent to our everyday lives is the bullying that happens on social media and the protection that needs to happen on social media. And sure, parents need to be responsible for that, of course, but it can't hurt to put this in schools.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's actually when we did the focus groups, I think we came away from practically every single person said, well, I really hope that you are going to put this out to schools, because this is something that really, if we can start them when they're young, say, 4th grade, this is how we help to stem the tide of the obsession. This is actually my 29th year of teaching. So for me, I started with no technology at all. Like, there was nothing in the classrooms. We didn't have Chromebooks, iPads, nothing. And when I did my grades, I would have to, write it in a book and calculate it on a computer. There was like literally nothing. And now I look, and everyone, there's one-to-one devices. And I think this is something that I would put out to superintendents. Just start right at the top and tell them about it. And then they can bring it down to their administration underneath them. And then it can go to the, PTGs, PTOs, PTAs, and offer it to people. I think that what I see is there's almost this entertainment factor that I'm starting to see more and more, that kids want to be entertained. So I might say, 29 years ago, I would say, okay, we're going to study multiplication. And essentially you just need to memorize your facts. And it was a lot easier to have them do that. And now it's like, well, can we play a game? Can't you do something more fun, because you're not a computer screen and you're not giving it to us fast enough, and this isn't as exciting. And that wasn't the case 29 years ago. So I'm finding that they almost need to be entertained more because of the technology that's out there. And that's a shame. And the second thing I see is kids are almost starting to struggle with having one-on-one conversations or being able to converse with other kids because they're so used to just, I'm bored, I'm going to take out my device. I mean, think about when you go to a restaurant. That's what you see people doing. They're bored. They don't talk with each other. They take out devices. And I know, like in my classroom, one of the rules is at recess time, if it's indoor recess, you are not allowed to be on a device. You're not allowed to get your Chromebooks out. If you brought a phone from home, you're not allowed to have it out. You have to play games and talk with each other. And they're like, what? I'm like, I know, talk, it's shocking. But you know, I give them a week, and we have this that like a band time, and not everyone takes band. So some of the kids will stay back with me in the classroom, and I'll give them a choice. I'll say, you can play a board game, or you can do something educational on the Chromebook. Robert, 100% of the time, 100% of the time, they choose to play board games, card games, Legos, something together. They never go on devices, because that's like the culture that's been established. And then there's that little bit of peer pressure, like no one's going to want to, oh, I'm not going to go on a Chromebook because no one else is. So we can stem the tide. We just need to start getting people on board, getting kids on board, realizing that it does make a difference. Like being able to have those conversations with people, that's something that you will take the rest of your life. Whether you know that a squared plus b squared equals c squared,
Right.
No one's really going to use that again. Kind of like your lemon cake. You don't need to make it again, and you're still okay. But being able to look people in the eye and have conversations, I think those things are really important.
So let's talk about your business and the model. You know, as you know, you mentioned something interesting that triggered an idea for me. So one of my fraternity brothers, who is older than me, and I sort of know from an acquaintance perspective, his name is Zach Schuler. He has a company called Ninjio, Ninjio. And what he does, he had a technology company that he sold, and now he has this new company called Ninjio with the goal of educating large organizations around not getting hacked from the perspective of not clicking on a link that has some weird information in it, and then you think you clicked on an invoice, but it actually is software that infected the whole system, your computer and all the networks. It's kind of like really dry stuff. And so here's where I'm going with it. What's interesting to me, his approach is to use anime cartoons to educate people using entertainment, scripted stories, cartoons, anime, a story arc. But the story, each video is, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes long. It's fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about you, and I'm thinking a really great way to develop, because this is interesting. Like I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking this is incredibly important for everyone to know. The challenge is no one is going to want to take the time to learn about their addiction, because I don't have a problem.
Yeah.
What's the saying? The saying is that I'm on what's there. You know, it's like people who drink a lot. It's like I'm not an alcoholic because I don't go to meetings. Right. I don't want to learn about what I'm addicted to or not addicted to. I just want to make money, or I just want to entertain my children. So if you make it entertaining and you create content that is interesting for people from an entertainment perspective, that's going to draw people in. And I think that could be a really helpful way for you to, because everyone should hear your story. Everyone should hear this education.
And I feel like that is what we've done. I mean, I developed, so of course I have to say that, but I feel like that is what we've done. So each day, so I'll just take you through like one workshop activity. So there's pictures at the top of the page that relate specifically to the topic. And then there's a think and share section. And I always say, you do just that. You think about, there's a quote or some type of stat, and you read it and you talk about it. And then there's a video. And that's where I feel that we have the buy-in from the kids, is because the kids love the video. And it's, 5 minutes at most, probably a little bit less than that each day. But that's what the kids look forward to, is watching the video. And then there is a give and take, which is just where there are a couple of questions that you're going to talk about, discuss, have a conversation about the video, not comprehension questions like what color was the kid's, jacket, who cares about that, but based on what you heard in the video, what were your thoughts on it? How did you feel when you saw, the grandparents were upset that their child, didn't want to go outside and play, that they just wanted to do, their grandchildren just wanted to stay inside and text their friends. They didn't want to go outside and do anything. How did you feel about that? So it's really where you have a conversation. And then at the end, they, the parent and child will walk away with a promise to each other where they are promising, like, the one I just talked about, we promise to develop our interests outside the shiny digital world that we're all, getting sucked into. And each day is the same format where they're going through a quote or a stat and thinking about it and sharing it, and then watching a video and then discussing the video. And the feedback that we've been getting is that the video is really what makes the kids say, oh, I can't wait to do more. And that was a funny thing for me is, we did multiple focus groups, and that's what the parents were like, oh, my kid was asking for more. They weren't like, oh, we don't want to have to do this again. They were saying, oh, can we do another day? Well, you already did one today, so do another one tomorrow.
What kind of videos are you running? Are these live action? Are these cartoons?
No, these are, these are stuff that we found like on YouTube, or they're just videos that people have put out. And I would say probably about 75% are funny. They're just engaging, but they're hard hitting and like they're truthful. Like you come away with it and go, oh, that was kind of funny, but oh, that's true. We really do whatever it is. We really do that. And that's where, because like, let's be honest, the addiction, the kids didn't start it. It's the parents need to be educated as well. But the more important part is you have to have the buy-in from the kids. So no parent is going to want to sit there and say to their kid, oh, now we have to do another school-like thing. So we try to make it that it's not school looking. Like the workbook itself, the activity guide doesn't look like something you see in school. It is colorful and the colors are soothing, and the content itself is engaging, where the kids are saying we want to do more. And that's really our goal, was once you get the kids have the buy-in to it, because the parents agree. All parents are like, oh yeah, we get it. And anyone that I talk to about it goes, oh my gosh, that's totally for me. Actually, that's for me and my spouse, or me and my significant other.
Right. It's really the adults. You need to buy in from the children as well, because they're going to be consuming it. But the adults, I told my wife, I was like, I told her, when we got your package, I was like, okay, now I need to confront the fact that there's something uncomfortable that we need to figure out about ourselves. Mm-hmm. I know this. There was a time when my wife and I were dating, and I said, no phones, like when we're having dinner. And I love taking food photos. So like, it's just going to be you and me. We're going to pay attention to that. I get the issue, but there's a part of me that's like, I don't want to confront yet another disposition that is not serving me well. Like I want to work on the 5 dispositions that are currently not serving me well. I don't want to add the 6. I don't have the capacity for that.
But I also feel like when you confront something like this with the technology, I think it actually can help with other areas of your life. Because think about, anyone at home at night, and you're with your significant other and you're not even watching TV together, you're both on your devices. But if you weren't on your devices, think about how much stronger your communication would be, because you'd actually be talking to each other or maybe watching the same TV show. And see, I think that's where this can help, because it doesn't have to necessarily be just with technology. It actually would help in other areas of your life, because you'd be more present. You would be more engaged with your kids, and, going outside or taking a walk with your significant other.
So let's talk about the business, right? So So let me ask you a few rapid fire questions here. I want to talk about cost and I want to talk about your distribution model. So what
Mhm.
does it cost direct to consumer?
It would be $100 or $99, and they get the program activity guide, and then 3 months of additional content and Zoom calls.
Got it. And that's for, and people can transact once your website is done, people can transact directly on your site. So
Yes.
you have a direct to consumer model, and I presume you're also going to have an educator's distribution model.
Yes, we were actually just, I was just talking with the people that are designing the web page, and they were asking, how are we, if for organizations, so whether it's educational organizations or faith-based organizations or corporations, how is it going to be different for them? And, John and I talked about it. We don't have everything ironed out just yet because we don't have it to market yet, so we're not exactly sure where we want. And this is, for me, like I was laughing with John when I knew I was going to talk with you. I was like, oh, the marketing stuff, that is not my bailiwick. Like, develop content, that's for me. But, the marketing stuff, I'm not 100% sure on. That's why we do have other people that are helping with that. But it is being able to give it out to education, like an educational organization, whether it's a school or, a private school, or, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, that would be on a much bigger scale than just individuals. Because yes, individuals, we do want individuals to purchase it, obviously, but we would want to do it on a bigger scale. Obviously, that's going to be more beneficial to everyone. And we were saying, like, if we distribute it or sell it to an organization, we could, sell it to them for a lower price, and then whatever they decide that they want to say they buy 100 copies of it, and then they can sell it to their people for however much they want, and then they would be making money. So I think that's the model that we're going with, but again, not my area of expertise, so that could change, but I think that's the direction that we're planning on.
That's amazing. So sounds like, as John and I spoke about last on the last episode, it seems like I think Facebook advertising would crush it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because because that's the power of Facebook. And that's exactly what we started, that we went full circle on the conversation. Yeah. That's fascinating. So next steps, build a website, get it out the door. Are you getting any press, or is press part of this equation for you?
So we went through back in April, and I'm sure you know that, like, everything takes longer than you actually think it's going to take. So
Trust me.
back in April, it's called the National Publicity Summit. It's a Steve Harrison group, runs it, organizes it. So I was actually able to get, before, I think it was like 65 media people, they're everywhere from freelance, journalist, TV, podcast, obviously podcast, radio. And so we had 2 minutes to give our pitch, and then they would say, yay or nay, like, oh, contact me because this was in the midst of the pandemic. So they would say, oh, well, contact me when the website's done, or contact me again in September when everything is died down. I had some say, contact me after the election. We'll just push it that much further out. So yes, I actually was just telling John today, I need to go back, because I've had like probably 5 or 6 media people. I've done podcasts and a radio, and done an article. And I said, I need to go back, because I had quite a few, like over 50 media people say, definitely contact us, because we want to know more about this. So now that the website is almost done, now I feel like I can start contacting them and say, because I know that you get one shot. If I go on and say, oh, listen to this, and here's the website, and there's no website. And we do have a like a launch page that is there, but I want people to go on and be able to order it, not just, oh, here it is, but it's not ready yet. Because I know you get one shot, and if you're not prepared, they'll be like, wah, we're not gonna, do this again. So That's what I'm in the process of now, is going back through all the media contacts that I had back in April and May and saying, hey, remember me when you said back then to contact you in September, in October and November. Here I am, and we're ready to get started.
Well, I think that's, that points to one of the fundamental challenges that we have in communicating in 2020 is that, and I don't know if you cover this in your program, is that there's such an abundance of information, right? What I was going to say is you've really got to wrangle the communications with each and every press person, because we're all aging in dog years. It's been like 7 years since April.
Very true.
Right? 7 years of 7 years of it's been like 1980 to 1987 worth of communications since April, right? And so if you think about all the stuff that goes through a person's mind, the questions, the theoretical, am I going to stay? Am I going to go? What emails did I get? Do I still have a job? All that stuff. Now you've got to cut through all that and capture their attention. Do you address any of that in your course? Because that to me is such the nature of work. We're hiring an account manager. And by the way, if you're watching this and you want to be a good account manager, reach out. We're hiring an account manager. Like half the job is literally just following up with people to make sure that they saw the last message, which was there to educate them about something that's going on in the process. Is that part of what you talk about?
So not in the program itself. I think when I was going through all the media, presenting to the media, one of the biggest things was you need to be pleasantly persistent. It wasn't just to me, it was to everyone. You need to be pleasantly persistent, because guess what? We have hundreds of emails a day. We have hundreds of contacts a day, and you're just one person. So until we say no, keep following up. Don't do it every day, but you should be following up each week. If you don't hear something, follow up again. I actually had someone who was a media person, and I said, hey, I was just wondering if you wanted to do an interview with me. And he was like, well, I think I want to see you actually speak, have a podcast or a TV show that you've been on. And at this point, I didn't have anything. So I just emailed him back, and I was like, I can assure you, I will give you a good interview. I will speak well, I promise. And I said, and anyway, don't you remember? You kept interrupting me during my media pitch to you, and you actually laughed and said, oh my gosh, you're not missing a beat, even though I keep interrupting you. And then he wrote back to me 20 minutes later, and he's like, haha, I do remember you. Okay. And I ended up doing an interview with him. So it was kind of funny, oh, well. I was like, oh, I don't know if I should say that you were the one cheering, but he was interrupting me. And I said, but I know I can do a good job, just you kind of need that chance. So I don't know if that was answering your question. But.
Yeah, no, it does. What's the 2 or 5 year goal on this initiative?
So I would say I want this to, obviously we're going to start local. We're going to start here in New Jersey, but I don't want it to stop there. I feel that this is something that it affects everyone. And we want it to, start in New Jersey, but then go across America. And I was saying to John, I'm like, this can go worldwide. I don't want to just affect, 1,000 families. I want to be able to affect 1 million families, 2 million families, because this is something that every single person, you look at it or you hear about it and you go, oh my gosh, yes, that's something that we need. And so, yeah, so in 2 years, I don't know. I don't know if that's an exact number, 1 million families, but that's what we want to do, is we want this to go across America and have everyone have the opportunity to just be educated. And then that sometimes it's just being aware is when you know better, you can do better. And hopefully that's
of course. That's it for me, right? Just know that there's a thing that I should be paying attention to, and I'll just literally since a conversation with John, I was like, I started paying attention to all the dings, the bells, the whistles on my phone, and when I
Mm-hmm.
started getting anxious. So we did my wife and I did a date night with one of the folks that we work with, Brandy, the strategy person on our team. She's up in Medicine Hat, Canada. And we were playing this Jack.tv or something. Yeah,
Okay.
Jackbox.tv, which is like very basic games that you can play on Zoom. And one of the games characterized me as anxious.
Oh.
And I was really upset about that because we'd be playing like an hour. Like, how do you know that? But I know why. It's probably because I was the first one to answer every question. Like the vast majority of the answers, I was the first one. And so I'm thinking about the anxiousness level. Like I'm just simply from the conversation with John, it was like I'm actually paying a lot more attention to the way I consume media. And I think I absolutely agree. I think just having a frank and open conversation, there's nothing wrong. Just know that this stuff is happening. I think that is such a force for good in the world that we live in 2020. And it's only going to get more aggressive in terms of content and interruptions and dopamine hits from social media. I think you're doing, this is very much needed work.
I agree. I think it's, I really, truly, I haven't met one person when they ask me, you know, because 29 years, I can retire. And people are like, oh, have you retired yet? What are you planning on doing? And when I tell them about Before Giving, I haven't had one person say, not for me. Every single person says, oh, you know what? We all need that. Or I know someone besides me, I know someone else who needs it. So that's what we're hoping.
Kathy, how as we wrap up here, how can people find you if they want to reach out to you specifically, or if they want to go to the website?
So the website is www.beforegiving.com, and my email address is Kathy with a K, kathyv@beforegiving.com. And that way you can, you know, get in touch with me directly.
Very cool. Kathy Van Benthusyen, co-creator of Before Giving, Before Getting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.